Hi, this is Lindsay, ready for our very first workout. Nearly every workout we do together, we're going to be doing a push-up. It's a fantastic exercise that not only helps with muscular strength and endurance, but also cardiorespiratory health. You may be asking yourself, I've been doing push-ups for 10 years and they haven't gotten any easier. And I was in the same boat as you until I learned this fantastic progression for the push-ups that you can move as you begin to get stronger into a harder progression of a push-up while training the pectoralis major, which is what the push-up is designed to train. So as you're doing this series, remember that your ego is not your amigo. We have to let go of the idea of doing a push-up is only from our toes in a plank position. The point of the push-up is to strengthen the chest, the pectoralis major, and without range of motion, it's impossible to get the pectoralis major to fire. So I'm going to show you the progression for working towards our push-up. You can do these same exercises from an incline position. So if you need to use a block or a box, you can do it here to decrease the range of motion. I'm going to be showing you from the floor. So let's go to our first position. First, we're going to have our hands on our shoulders lining up. Just like if you were shopping at Home Depot, you don't want a plank board where there's bumps in it. You don't want it to be saggy as well and dump into the shoulders. You want a nice, strong plank. The purpose of the push-up is to get the pectoralis to fire. So if I'm coming halfway, I'm never firing through my pectoralis because it requires range of motion. So you have to open up the pectoralis major, and then as you're pushing away, that's when it's firing. So if we're only traveling 2 and 3 inches at a time, you may have really good looking elbows or perhaps some tight shoulders and traps, but you're never training your pectoralis. Let's show this first progression. Hands right below the shoulders, and you can pick a distance that's comfortable for you for doing a push-up as far as your stance, whether it's inside or it's outside. The point is to open the chest up, the chest touches, and then we push away. So if we're coming to this range of motion, it's a lot of bicep work, a lot of shoulder work. You'll have really sexy elbows, but you're never going to train the chest. You have to open up and touch. You can rest if you need to, and then push back up. Okay, the next progression is going to be starting from the toes in a high plank position. As you lower down, the chest will touch, take the knees to the floor, and then push away. Inhale as we lower, exhale as we push away. That's the second progression. What tends to happen when we do our push-up, because the ego and the mind wants us to trick us and think we're doing more, this is what can happen in this position. We'll come to here and then we'll do forward head tilt, or we'll drop our head where I haven't gained any range of motion. I've just tricked myself into thinking that I'm doing or acquiring greater range when actually I'm not. Get the chest to open up and touch the floor. The third progression is going to start from the knees in that high plank position, elbows to the back of the body, plant the toes, push up. Elbows behind the body from the knees, toes plank, exhale, and push up. And the last progression is toes in a plank position, high and low. Now, as you're doing this throughout your workout, you should start at a lower progression so you can warm the chest up. You'll peak and you'll get to your highest progression as you fatigue and get tired. It's not uncommon. You move back to the progression. So it's kind of a sliding wheel. Don't get stuck on the idea that I've arrived. This is the kind of push-up I do. Progression comes in stages. The final stage would be from a high plank position. We open and we exhale. We open and we exhale. There are tons of ways to progress or modify the push-up as well to make it less impactful on a joint or possibly more difficult. We're going to show you some of those later on as well. Remember, as you're training the push-up, your ego is not your amigo. Don't get stuck in this mindset that you have to do it one particular way. You're going to slide in and slide out of all these variations. As long as you're opening your chest up and then pushing away, you're going to continue to get stronger. I can't wait to see how far you come. Hi, welcome, it's Lindsay. I'm so excited for our workout. We're going to be doing a 4x5, which means 4 sets of exercises with 5 repetitions in between every single strength movement that we do. So I'm going to explain our first 4x5. The first portion of our 4x5 is going to be a speed skater. We can step over lunge and reach down, step over, lunge and reach down. We can add a hop and reach, hop and reach. We want to then just avoid bending over and putting strain on our back. We want to make sure that we have flexion in our knees and it's nice and soft. 5 on each side. The next is going to be a push-up. Go with your lowest progression first of your push-up to warm up your chest. I'm going to go for my knees here as I inhale down, chest touches, exhale, push away. That's 5 push-ups. Our next series in the 4x5 is going to be a jumping jack. We can do a single arm, single leg. We can do double arm, single leg. Or we can add the plyometric. We do 5 at a time. The last 4x5 piece is going to be our burpee to plank. A burpee is not a transitional move. It is cardiorespiratory, meaning it's going to strengthen your heart. Your heart rate's going to elevate, but it's actually a core movement. So I'm going to show you from the side. Looking at our form and our posture, it's counterintuitive to do a burpee and begin like this. If we're trying to get off the ground or lift our spine, looking down is kind of a mixed message for our head. So whether you're adding a jump or you're just lifting to the toes, make sure that your posture is lifted. We jump, we can walk down and hold the plank position. Make sure that your back isn't sagging, you're not dumping the shoulders, push away from the earth, and then we can walk back up. We can also add the hop, hold, up. It's going to be so tempting to allow speed to seduce you. Don't allow it to seduce you. We need 5 impeccable movements of every set that we do. Just for a quick review, our first is the speed skater. Then we have our push-up. Then we have our jack. Then we have our burpee to plank. Okay, here we go. For our strength training, the first exercise we're going to do is a reverse lunge. So here's something that was really helpful. I didn't know this for many, many years. As you're doing a lunge, there's 2 ways to do them. You can load from the front, working the quadricep, or you can load from the back, working the glute. We're going to be doing a reverse lunge, which is going to give us power through our glutes. So I'm going to show you from the side so you can take a look at posture and form. My front leg is going to reach behind the body, okay? So from here, my shoulders are stacked over my hips, which is going to encourage my glutes to fire. If I'm leaning forward, there is pressure in my knee, but it's also telling my body, hey, quadricep, I need you to fire. We want to try and deduce the amount of quadricep firing. We want to use our glute. So in this position, we're going to pulse for 2, slow, come back up, bring the leg back to center again. We reach out as far as we can, shoulders over hips, pulse for 2, and rise back up. We're going to go nice and slow. Now, the longer the lever, the more difficult, the lower it's going to be, right? So the glute that's firing is going to be whatever leg or knee is in flexion, which for me is my back leg. So if you're not sure which glute is firing, that's a challenge and a problem. You've got to make sure you're sending the right message to the right body part, knowing, okay, I'm supposed to be firing here. If you're unsure, look at your form, slow down, and try again. So if we were to switch the movement, we would step back, we would pulse for 2. I know that my front glute is now firing. I can feel it. I'm waiting for this message to be sent. I'm going to come back up. I can balance if I'd like to. We step back, pulse for 2, avoiding the lean, pull back, pull back, pull back, pulse for 2, and balance. There's no reason to add a plyometric or add additional weights if we don't have the foundation correct. So with every series that you do, hold the position, make sure you know which glute is firing. If you don't feel your glute, be patient. Be patient. Invite the glute to fire. It may be you've never had a conversation with just one glute at a time, and this is the perfect opportunity to do that, okay? After we do our 10 to 12 perfect repetitions on each side, then we do our 4x5. Remember our 4x5? We've got our speed skater for 5. I lost track. I think that's 5. We move right to our push-up. I'm not going to be seduced by speed. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to have integrity in my movement. I'm going to get stronger as long as I stay aware and conscious and present while I'm exercising. And 5. The next we have is our jack. Remember, there's tons of ways to do the jack. Finally, we have our burpee to plank. Very good. Okay, our last is going to be our prone back extension. Excuse me while I catch my breath. We're going to be on our mat. So, lying in a prone position, which means face down. Our toenail beds are going to be in the earth. We're going to press our toenail beds into the earth. We're going to have our hands in a cactus position. The first position we're going to do, we're just going to slide our elbows towards our rib cage, making sure my head and neck are neutral. I'm waiting to feel my back connecting. It's taking just a minute. I got to be patient. There we go. Rolling my shoulder blades together. Very good. Okay, now that I feel warm and I'm connected, I'm going to lift my elbows up, and I'm going to squeeze and hold, tabletop position. I'm going to hold for 3, 2, 1. I'm going to rest and come down. I'm going to lift back up again. Pull the elbows down and back. I'm knitting my rib cage together. And back down again. Inhale as we lift. Squeezing down and back. And lowering back down. We have 10 to 12 of these. Making sure that we are taking time. Our back can be a little bit shy as far as wanting to fire. Our backside in general, because we work in the front flame of our lives, right? But the backside of your body may take some love. When you finish 10 to 12, you know what it is, right? Speed skater. After the speed skater, we then have the push-up. By 2 or 3 rounds, you should be able to add that progression, right? 5 push-ups. Then we've got our jack. 5 jacks. And then finally, we have our burpee to plank. We can always walk those legs out, hold that plank position, walk it right back in. Making sure that we are honest with our movement. We can do this, I'm hoping 2, maybe 3 times. Just a quick review, we have our reverse lunge with pulse, 10 to 12 perfect reps on each side, followed by a 4x5. Then we have our prone back extension, 4x5. And our last one is going to be the plank to saw. So we come into that plank position. We can go elbows, or we can go high plank. So we can be here. If you're taking care of your shoulders, you can be here, or you could be here. The purpose is holding this plank position. Like there's a little fire on the ground. You're pulling your belly button in and up. From here, we're going to lean forward, waiting for the core to fire, and then leaning back. We can do the same thing here. We can lean forward, and then we can lean back. We can do the same thing from here. We can lean forward, wait for the core to fire, and then lean back. It's okay to come out of the movement to catch your breath. If you're just finishing it so you can be done with it as quick as possible, you're not going to get the benefits that you're looking for. So take time. If you have to bust out, take a breath, recoup the mind and encourage yourself. That's fantastic. You should do that and have integrity movement. And when you come back, you're going to get even greater results. Okay, so last time, speed skater, 4 to 5. Push up, 4 to 5. Jack, 4 to 5. Burpee to plank, 4 to 5. We then have a reverse lunge, 10 to 12 on each side. Then our 4 to 5. We've got our prone back extension, 10 to 12 perfect repetitions, 4 to 5. And then our plank to saw again. We just learned, we finished with our 4x5. That's one full round. I'd love us to do 2, maybe 3 rounds, tapping out as far as we can and giving our very, very best and knowing it's going to take progression as we go. I'm so proud of you. I can't wait to see you next time.